Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. Delighted to be joined by Shane Lowry. Shane, give us your thoughts on this week and what to expect.
Yeah, what to expect, I don't know, to be honest. I felt like I played all right last week, actually, and I need to make sure that I don't lose too much confidence in the results and think about results too much, because I think if you look at my game and look at my scoring, I was actually okay. So I need to take that into this week and come here. I played well here last year. I was in the last group with Thomas on Sunday. Didn't perform as best I could, but put myself there. I like this golf course. It's a bit tricky, and it can get windy around here. So yeah, hopefully I can come here and have a really nice week. It's the golf course. I haven't been really out there yet. I was just on the 18 green doing a photo. It looks incredible, and I've heard nothing but good things about the condition of it. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Very different event last week, but how nice was it to have a competitive event before coming into something like this?
It was, and to be honest, I think the tour did an amazing job last week with the way they put on the event as well. I think when you've played in a Ryder Cup, it could be easy to go last week and maybe not think it's as big as it is or as it should be. But I went there and I felt it last week. I felt like I was in the team room, the team environment, and I wanted to really win for my team. So it was a nice week to kickstart the year. Obviously, the result was not what I would have liked, but yeah, everything else about the week was amazing. And like I said, the tour did a great job.
Perfect. Thanks, Shane. Go to questions. Martin?
We spoke to Luke afterwards. He said that he's not worried about you losing 4 matches at in that event. Just the stature of the player you are. I mean, that's encouraging, is it not? That some players might have lost 4 matches in that event and been gutted, which you were gutted, but
yeah,
long term might have been worrying. But I think it's your stature in the game. He's not worried about that.
Yeah, and he said that to me on Sunday. I felt, to be honest, there's certain points of the week where I felt like if I was a little bit better, I would have won a couple of matches. And if I win 2 matches out of 4 instead of losing the 4 of them, we win the tournament, or we tie anyway. So I was disappointed in myself on Sunday evening. Not that I feel like I let the team down, because you get into a team environment and you say, right, there's no sorries this week. It's everyone gives 100% and does as best they can, and I feel like I did that. But yeah, if I had won a couple of matches last week, things obviously would have been different. But yeah, it was nice to hear Luke say stuff like that. I feel like I learned a lot last week, actually. I really did, about myself and about even playing some team golf, and hopefully I can use that if I'm there in September.
I mean, obviously there was no atmosphere in that event,
yeah,
no lack of fans, but everything else had a Ryder Cup feel, including the team rooms, etc.
Yeah, honestly, I said Sunday evening we were talking about it, I said if there was, if you threw even 5,000 people a day there, I think it would have been an amazing event. It was an amazing event, but if there was an atmosphere or crowds there, it would have been really, really good. So it's great to see the tour working towards something that we're all working towards, and I think as a tour we're all working towards winning that trophy back in September, and hopefully I can be a part of that.
You?
Shane, did you notice at all last week that maybe everything else that's happened in the game, that this tour, that's maybe brought a lot of guys in this tour closer together, maybe a bit of a siege mentality within the European side of things? You can say no if that's just...
I certainly, we were, bring us all together. Last week, I thought as a GB&I team, we were all very close. It was great. It was actually great to be a part of it and get to know the younger lads. That's what I really enjoyed about it. I watch a lot of golf when I'm at home in America, so I watch a lot of European Tour golf, and to get to know the likes of Richard Mansell and Jordan Smith and these guys properly, and even Bob, and to get to know these lads properly is pretty cool, and it's nice, because I don't, Bob, he plays a little bit in America, so you get to see him, but the other lads just play over here in Europe, and to get to know them was pretty nice, and who knows, that could help. But yeah, we were very together as a team, and I think, you know, Sunday night the team rooms were brought together, and you know, everyone mingled, and they did on Tuesday, and there was a couple of times in the week where they had a couple of ex-captains in there giving talks and stuff when we were together. So yeah, it's I've learned over the last sort of only 2 or 3 years how big the Ryder Cup is for this tour, and like I said earlier on, it is great to see everyone working towards it together, whether it be, you know, even you're in there, whether it be the guys looking after the clothes or the nutrition or the, you know, everyone's working towards the one goal, and I think we'll all be happy if we're there on the 18th green in September with that little gold trophy, yeah.
Bernie?
Shane, can I just take your head? You've got the special sort of memories of being a former champion here this week, but also overnight you've been named by the tour as a member of the committee. I just wonder, how did that all come about?
Yeah, I got a phone call off Andy Pazzer a couple of weeks ago asking me to do it, and something I never thought I'd want to be involved in, to be honest. I always saw the lads on committees and stuff, and was like, you know, surely that just gets in the way. But I thought about it a lot and spoke to a lot of people, obviously, and I think where the game is at the minute, I feel like, you know, it'll be nice to be involved, and I feel like I could have a little bit of an input into what's going on. So, yeah, looking forward to being a part of that.
Do you think that was part of Andy's approach to you, the fact that you have been quite vocal and passionate about the state of golf at the moment?
Yeah, I think the fact that I'm a global player as well, and play over here in Europe a lot, probably helped, and it's probably nice for them to have someone like that on the committee, and it'll be nice. Hopefully, I can. Yeah, I don't know what I can bring. I don't even know what it involves. I know it's 4 meetings a year. I don't know what we're going to be talking about on those meetings, on those calls, or whether it be at tournaments. But yeah, I'm involved now, and I'll see how it pans out.
Schwab next, please.
Thanks, President. Sorry.
Shane, one more question on last week. I know you were focused on your matches, but I'm sure you got to interact with a lot of youngsters, especially, say, someone like Nikolai, who came in at the last moment and he performed so well. So anything about the youngsters, any particular youngsters who may have caught your eye with their attitude in the team room and how they got along? 20 players, but both two sides, but all together Europe.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I got to interact with Nikolai at all, because I didn't play against him. I only seen him play a couple of holes. And obviously we were in different team rooms. I can only speak for the GB&I team. Like I got to see what, you know, some of the lads are like in there. Obviously, I think Bob stood out. You know, I think Richard Mansell has something about him. He's got a swagger that I like. Yeah, obviously the European, the continental Europe side, they play pretty good golf, and they play better golf than us. But I can only speak for my team, and what I seen in there was, yeah, pretty impressive.
One short question. I mean, between Frankie and Tommy, their return to form, how good does it augur for the European team as a whole?
Yeah, Frankie certainly had his return to form on Sunday anyway, I know that. Yeah, it was a tough match to come up against for me, but I said it to him when we finished. I said, I'd only love to be a part of a European team in Rome with him on it, playing good golf, so hopefully that is the case. And obviously, look, Tommy, I don't even think, I wouldn't be putting Tommy in that bracket of return to form. I think Tommy's never really been out of form. I think he's not really achieved, maybe he's not at the level that he wants to be at, or would want to be at, but he's still top 25 golfer in the world and still a really good player. And yeah, he played good golf last week as well, and it was nice to be a part of his team.
Fatia?
Sean, I know golf is always competition, like last week, against another team. But are you proud to have a team, how little bit it looks for the Ryder Cup, European plus the GB and Ireland?
I don't quite understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, are you happy to have all the two teams going forward for the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, I think last week was a very worthwhile exercise, and I think, bar none, everybody you talked to that was there last week thought that it was a worthwhile extra. I think Luke got a lot out of it. So hopefully we're standing there, or we're in the team room on Sunday night in Rome, going, you know what, the Hero Cup had a big part to play in the success of this Ryder Cup team, and I think going forward, I think it will do over the coming years.
Martin?
Shane, you said that Bob stood out a little bit in the room. Could you maybe expand on why you thought that was the case, and can you relate to, he's part of a shinty team, that someone can thrive in a team environment?
I think look, I think we all know what Bob stands for and what he's like, so he was just Bob. He was just himself last week, and that's all he needs to be. And I think with just some patience and some, hard work, he'll get to where he wants to get, and hopefully, that is where we all want to be. I keep talking about September, but I think he stood out, I think, by his performance last week more than anything else. And in the team room, he was obviously pretty good as well, because he's just a good lad. So he was just himself. He was nothing else. He wasn't doing anything different. But yeah, his performance. If you've got a 8-footer on the last hole to win a match, there's probably not many people you'd want to have there other than him. He'd be on the short list anyway. So yeah, he was good, and hopefully he can keep performing good over the year, and hopefully he's there as well. Ewan?
Shane, as we start a new year here, how do you assess the kind of wider picture with this tour? Do you think it's in a good place?
Yeah. I think what's happened in the last year or so, we've got sidetracked in thinking that 20 million or 100 million is just normal, and that's what we should be playing for, and that's what we're worth, and that if we're playing for 2 or 3 million on this tour, that is not enough. I still think that this tour is growing. I think with their alliance with the PGA Tour to grow in prize money, guaranteed to grow in prize money over the next 13 years, every year, I think that's good for the tour. I think it's sustainable, which is the big thing. I think having a sustainable product is something that you need to have, and I do think this tour has that. And I think, like I said, we've got sidetracked in thinking that 100 million is just normal. Everybody's throwing out these figures that are just astronomical, and I think as a tour, could this tour be better? Yeah, obviously we could all be better in anything that we do, but I do think with a steady growth over the next number of years, I do think this tour will keep improving. I'm not going to say that, but I just think it's even like I'm going to Phoenix in a couple of weeks to play for 20 million. It feels like it's great to be involved in it. I just hope it's sustainable, and I just hope that in 30 years' time, those guys that are playing on the tour are playing a better tour than I played. Because I think as a group of players, we need to be. I said this. Jack and Arnold, and I'm talking about PGA Tour now, and even you talk about European Tour, you go like Sevi and Jose Maria, and these guys passed the tour down to Thomas and all those guys, and they've passed it on to us, and it's up to us to pass the tour on to the next generation. And Tiger, or let's say Jack and Arnold, they passed it down to whatever you could go, Freddie Couples and those guys, and they passed it down to Tiger. Tiger's passing it down to us, and it's up to us to pass it down into the next generation in a better place than we got it. So I think that's what's important for golf over the next while, and that's why I am happy to be involved in the pack on the PGA Tour, and I am quite passionate about where golf is going and what's right for the game over the next while.
Shane, thanks for your time.
Cool.
And good luck this week.
Thank you.